I've been a member of the National Union of Journalists for over 30 years, and in that time I've been part of many campaigns that the union has launched in terms of jobs and conditions and pay, and political campaigns as well. But I've never been prouder of my union than when it stood up and defended Julian Assange. So I'd like you to give a very warm welcome to Tim Dawson, who's a member of the National Executive Committee of the National Union of Journalists.
Thank you very much. It's fantastic to be here. As John says, I represent the National Union of Journalists in the United Kingdom and Ireland, and the International Federation of Journalists, representing over 600,000 journalists all around the world. And I'm here today because of the terrible damage that the attempt to prosecute Julian Assange will have on journalism the world over if it's successful. And I have to say, when I see a crowd like this, my spirits do start to lift. I start to think, yes, we are on the right side of this campaign. I'm sure, like me, you all read the Yahoo story about the CIA's plans to murder or assassinate Julian Assange while he was in the Ecuadorian embassy. Now, every element of that story had something to make you gasp. There were CIA agents on the streets of London. There was the British Secret Service on hand to undertake any shooting if necessary. The American Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was seeding his speeches with little legal justifications that he hoped to rely on later. And even more incredibly, the Russian Secret Service were on the streets with a separate plan to spirit Julian Assange from the country. The whole thing is like James Bond on steroids. But the more I think about it, the more the story made me feel optimistic. Because 30 retired CIA agents spoke to Yahoo. Just think about that. 30 former CIA agents chose to break the law, chose to invoke the wrath of Mike Pompeo, chose to risk their pensions to tell a journalist about something that they thought was profoundly wrong. Now we know that within the American establishment there has not always been agreement. We know that in 2013 Obama considered prosecuting Julian Assange and decided not to. Because people like us, people like you, have kept up the pressure, people in the American establishment are beginning to realise that they too are on the wrong side of history, and that they too must bring pressure to bear on their own administration to stop this crazy prosecution. The work that you're doing, the work that we're all doing to bring this to a greater attention, to involve people in the campaign, to say to people that the information on which we all depends on Julian Assange being freed, and depends on our having a free media that can report what's happening for us all to understand. The message that's sent by all of us here today to people all over the world, in the United States and everywhere else, that there is a significant body of opinion who will not stand for Julian Assange being taken from this country and prosecuted, is vitally important. But let's now give some greater voice to that. Let's make sure that they're heard beyond that. So join me in saying, if you believe in the importance of the law, then don't extradite Assange. If you believe that free speech is sacrosanct, then don't extradite Assange. If you believe that we deserve to know what the military are doing in our name, then don't extradite Assange. And if you believe that a man who has been clinically assessed as being vulnerable to suicide should not be extradited to the United States, then don't extradite Assange.